this first episode of Suits, we see Mike Ross trying to make a drug deal as a favor for a friend in return for $25,000. So he goes into the hotel where the trade will happen, only to figure out that the buyer is actually the police. While trying to run away, he accidentally walks into a job interview for a position at a law firm and gets mistaken for an applicant. As soon as he goes into the room to speak with the famous lawyer, Harvey Specter, and start his interview, his briefcase suddenly opens, making all of the bags of marijuana that he would trade roll out onto the floor. This forces him to explain his situation to Harvey, who actually gets quite intrigued and entertained by Mike's story.
How the hell did you know they were the police?
The hell is a phrase that is informally used to make a statement or question more forceful when collocated with question words such as why, where, who, and how. Also, it is often used in order to express anger and can be considered rude. Let's see another example of this expression being used in Suits.
What the hell is Harvey doing? He's supposed to be deposing Elliot Perkins.
He's with a client.
I don't care.
Yeah, what's up?
I gotta get to the Kendrick filing. Where the hell is Mike?
I don't know.
So Harvey asks Mike how he knew that the hotel employees he encountered were actually with the police. In a previous scene in the episode, we can see that Mike actually realizes that through observation. So he goes on to tell Harvey what made him first think these men could be with the police.
I read this novel in elementary school. Cops are staking out a hotel. One of them dresses as a bellhop, the other is a man in a suit. And it was the exact same thing.
A novel is a long written story about imaginary people and events, normally published as a book. Elementary school is a school where very young children are usually taught for the first 6 years of their education, about 6 to 11 years old. Mike is explaining that he remembered this story he once read when he was young, that narrated a similar situation with police officers staking out a hotel while being dressed as employees. In this context, to stake out means to police or do surveillance over an area or place where it is thought that a crime will happen or a criminal will appear. Here's an example from police comedy series Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Heads up, there's our perp looking all perpy, just perping his way down Perp Street.
Take a picture. Give me 1 second. This light is really unflattering for his complexion.
It doesn't have to be perfect. Tom Olson is a bad dude. He's held up 4 electronics stores at gunpoint.
You read a novel in elementary school.
What? I like to read.
And why'd you ask them what time it was?
Throw him off. I mean, what kind of drug dealer asks a cop what time it is when he's got a briefcase full of pot, right?
In the sense of escaping, to throw somebody off means to make somebody's investigation or chase go in the wrong direction. Example: he threw off his pursuers and escaped across the border. Now, this phrasal verb can have a more common application when referring to confusing somebody or impairing their performance, confidence, or concentration. A noun or pronoun is normally used between throw and off. Check out this other example.
Do you need some music?
No, actually, music would just throw me off. I need
Okay.
complete silence, okay? You're clapping. I need complete silence. Totally threw me off, so I'm gonna have to start over.
And why'd you ask them what time it was?
Throw him off. I mean, what kind of drug dealer asks a cop what time it is when he's got a briefcase full of pot, right?
Pot is slang for cannabis.
We should hire you. Jesus, I'd give you the 25 grand as a signing bonus.
25 grand is 25,000. The term grand is often used in this sense when talking about money.
And if you can't, then I'm gonna give you this check for 10 grand.
I know you've been working retail. It's a boutique on Park Avenue, right? It's a good job. You're making what, maybe 40 grand a year? This is Manhattan. Are you covering rent with that?
A signing bonus is an amount of money received by somebody who has just signed up or been hired for a new job.
Unfortunately, we only hire from Harvard. And you not only did not go to Harvard Law School, you haven't even gone to any law school.
So, Harvey explains that his firm only hires associates to work as lawyers who have graduated from Harvard Law School. Law school in the United States is a high-level educational institution in which students study law as a postgraduate program after they've received their undergraduate degree.
What if I told you that I consume knowledge like no one you've ever met and I've actually passed the bar?
The common legal term bar is short for bar association, which refers to a professional association of lawyers that regulates the practice of law in a state. In the United States, law students may take the bar exam and thus pass the bar or not if they want to actively work as lawyers in any given state.
What if I told you that I consume knowledge like no one you've ever met and I've actually passed the bar?
I'd say you're full of crap.
If you say that someone is full of crap, you mean that they are trying to deceive you by telling a lie or exaggerating about something.
He might have checked out clean, but I know that kid's full of shit. Because there may be a record of him graduating from Harvard Law, but there's no record of him graduating from any college anywhere on the face of the earth.
What do you think is another common, but slightly less vulgar way of saying this expression?
And you said to me, Ms. Nope, I have one question for you. What do you believe the role of government is in America?
You blathered on for 10 minutes about social safety nets and honest governance and improving lives. Basic nonsense.
Then you said everything that just came out of your mouth is basic nonsense. Good day. And that was it.
No, that was not it. After I said you were full of it, you got very angry and scrunched up your face and said, "Excuse me, sir, but I disagree."
By the way, have you noticed how natives, especially Americans, seem to reduce the sound of words that finish with consonant sounds like T or P, for example? Let's listen again to how Harvey pronounces this sentence.
I'd say you're full of crap. I'd say you're full of crap.
So what he actually does here is end the word by closing his mouth and getting ready to pronounce the P, but never releasing the air necessary to make that sound. So it becomes what's known as a stop P. Listen to these other examples.
Both cheated.
Excuse me?
Lewis's testimony pushed it over the top. Lewis's testimony pushed it over the top.
Well, if you get a break.
You think I can be bought with cookies?
Homemade chocolate chip. Homemade chocolate chip.
Also, pay attention to how he reduces the word of to a simple sound, and also to how it connects to the previous word, full, resulting in one connected sound, fulla. Now let's practice and repeat this line after Harvey.
I'd say you're full of crap. I'd say you're full of crap. I'd say you're full of crap.
That's a Barbary legal handbook right there, right? Open it up. Read me something.
A handbook is a book that contains instructions on how to do something or information about a subject, like a manual that teaches how to operate a machine. As the name suggests, handbooks are usually small and capable of being conveniently carried as a ready reference. So a legal handbook, such as the Barbary one, gives instructions on laws.
Civil liability associated with agency is based on several factors,
Including the deviation of the agent from his path, the reasonable inference of agency on behalf of the plaintiff, and the nature of the damages themselves.
In this part of the scene, we see Harvey and Mike reading and speaking of a few legal terms and more advanced expressions. You should know that most natives would not understand the full meaning of these sentences without being given more context, so don't feel discouraged by how complex it may all sound. We can still study some of these words individually, so let's take another listen.
Civil liability associated with agency is based on several factors,
Including the deviation of the agent from his path, the reasonable inference of agency on behalf of the plaintiff, and the nature of the damages themselves.
If you are liable or have liability for something, you are responsible by law for that thing. This is a very common term in legal English. For example, if you sign a contract, you are liable for the terms of that contract. So civil liability refers to the responsibility of paying for somebody's losses if you have intentionally or even just mistakenly injured them or damaged their property. plaintiff is what we call the person who brings a case against another in a court of law, the person who initiates the lawsuit, and the other side or person is called the defendant. See these examples of these words being used.
Your Honor, this case should be thrown out. Other than her story, the plaintiff doesn't have one piece of evidence.
Because the evidence lies within their personnel files, which they're conveniently refusing to hand over.
And you could be telling the truth now, but if you don't show the partners some emotion, they're not going to believe you either.
What do you want me to do? Manufacture a few tears?
Look, Harvey, when you're a defendant, you need the jury to protect you. There's no way they're ever going to protect you if they don't care about you.
Now in law, agency refers to the relationship created by contract between somebody and their agent, who will be able to act on their behalf. So, for example, if person A acts on behalf of person B, that means person A is representing or supporting person B. And in the case of person A being person B's agent, they would have the legal right, by contract, to speak on behalf of person B. Check out this example of this expression.
Can I help you?
Yes, you can. My name's Mike Ross. I'm here on behalf of Sophia Price, and this is every dime of rent she owes your client.
Deviation is a noun, meaning the act of doing something that is different from what people consider to be normal or acceptable. It also exists in the form of a verb. Example, you must not deviate from the agreed route. Again, the terms that we've just learned are quite tricky, but are not so important if you do not work in law.
How did you know that?
I learned it when I studied for the bar.
Okay, hotshot.
Hotshot is an American slang expression used to refer to an important or exceptionally talented person. It's commonly used sarcastically to imply that you are not so impressed by somebody, or that, in your opinion, they think too much of themselves.
Mike Ross? Hi. I'm Rachel Zane. I'll be giving you your orientation.
Wow, you're pretty.
Good. You've hit on me. We can get it out of the way that I'm not interested.
No, I'm sorry. I wasn't hitting on you.
Trust me. I've given dozens of these, and without fail, whatever new hotshot it is thinks that because I'm just a paralegal, that I will somehow be blown away by his dazzling degree. Let me assure you, I won't.
Okay, hotshot. Fire up this laptop.
To fire up is a phrasal verb collocated with machines or computer programs, meaning to turn them on or launch them.
All right, I think we've really helped women today. Let's fire up the old Xbox.
Fire up this laptop. I'm going to show you what a Harvard attorney can do.
As you may know, the word attorney is another common way to refer to a lawyer, and there are many other less common terms that can be used, such as attorney at law, counsel, counselor, advocate, or barrister, depending on the context.